Hare Krishna. In this video, we will explore chapter 12 of Bhagavad Gita, known as Devotional Service or Bhakti Yoga. The word bhakti comes from the Sanskrit root bhaja, which means to revere, to adore, to lovingly serve. Think for a moment. Whom do we naturally admire or look up to? Someone whose qualities are better than ours. Someone who lives with kindness, truth, compassion, and strength. Someone whose life inspires us to become better. That is why when we think of a god or a guru, we think of them as a highest example of virtue, the purest expression of what a human being can aspire to become. There's a beautiful story that explains this. Once, people were discussing who is the greatest. One said the sky is the greatest. It is everywhere. Another said, no, the cloud covers the sky, so the clouds are the greatest. Another said, wind moves the cloud, so the wind is the greater. And then someone said, mountains stop the wind, so mountains are the greater. Another replied, the earth holds the mountains, the earth is the greater. And finally, a wise person said, but who holds the earth? God is the greatest. And then God appears and said, actually, I am held in the heart of my devotees. Because they hold me with love, my devotees are even greater than me. And that is the heart of chapter 12. Krishna is not glorifying himself here, he is glorifying his devotees. Chapter 12 is the shortest chapter in the Bhagavad Gita, yet it is one of the most tender and heartwarming chapters of all. In this chapter, Krishna does not speak about complex philosophy, cosmic creation, or universal destruction. Instead, he answers a very personal question. What kind of devotee is most dear to me? Krishna explains the path of devotion, the stages through which devotion matures, and most importantly, the beautiful qualities of a devotee who has perfected bhakti. God may be the supreme controller, but in this chapter, we discover something even sweeter. God allows himself to be conquered by love. Chapter 12 shows us not just who God is, but how we can love him and how we love his devotees in return. So in chapter 12, Arjuna asks a very simple but a very deep question. After seeing everything in chapter 11, he wants to know, who is the devotee that you love the most, Krishna? And how should I worship you in the best way? Krishna answers is so beautiful that we can remember this whole chapter with just one word, God. God. And interestingly, this chapter is not just about God, it's about the relationship between God and his devotees. So let's understand this chapter through this simple acronym G, Godhead. Yes, God is a supreme controller. He's powerful. He's infinite. He's the Lord of everything. But in this chapter, Krishna shows us very special. Even though he controls everything, he allows himself to be controlled by love. This is the sweetness of the Godhead. Options. Next O is options. Arjuna asks, Krishna, should I worship you as a personal form or should I worship you as a formless, impersonal Brahman? Krishna lovingly explains that both options exist, but he clearly tells us which one is the closer to his heart. And this chapter is where Krishna opens his heart and tells us how he wants to be loved. And then the third D is devotee's disposition. Krishna does not ask for big qualification. He does not ask us to be perfect. He does not ask us to be scholars or saint. Instead, Krishna describes the qualities of a loving devotee, someone who is gentle, grateful, humble, forgiving, and full of compassion. So, this chapter tells us it's not about what we know, it's about what we are becoming. So, chapter 12 is really about this. Who is God? How do we approach Him? And what kind of heart He loves the most. So, now, with the God framework in mind, let's go step by step and see what Krishna teaches us. Godhead. This chapter begins with a very important and very practical question from Arjuna. Arjuna asks Krishna, there seem to be two paths. Some people worship you as a person with form, name, and love. Others worship the impersonal Brahman without form or personality. Krishna, which path is better? And Krishna answers very clearly without confusion. He says, those who fix their mind on my personal form, who worship me with love and devotion, they are the most perfect. Krishna doesn't say this path is also okay. He says this path is the best. Why? Because we are not machines. We are not ideas. We are persons. And happiness comes from loving relationship. For a relationship to exist, we need someone who loves, someone who is loved, and an exchange between them. But impersonal ideas of God removes all three. There is no relationship. There is no, and therefore there's no real happiness. Krishna then compassionately explains the other path. He says worshipping the impersonal Brahman is very difficult. It is hard to meditate on something without form. It is hard to love something without personality. And progress on that path is slow and troublesome. Then Krishna makes a beautiful promise. He says, for my devotees, those who offer their mind, intelligence, and body and senses to me, I personally become their swift deliverer. Deliverer from what? Swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death, from fear, from anxiety, from confusion. So, in these 7 verses, Krishna established something very important. God is, God is not just power, God is not just light. God is a loving person. And that loving person is deeply eager to rescue his devotees. Options. So, in this section, Krishna shows us something very beautiful about his nature. He is firm in principles, but at the same time, very kind and practical. Krishna tells Arjuna the highest standard of bhakti. In verse 8, he says, fix your mind and intelligence on me all the time. Think of me, remember me, and live with me in your heart. This is the topmost level of devotion. But Krishna knows something very well. Not everyone can jump to the top immediately. So Arjuna and all of us might say, Krishna, this sounds wonderful, but it's too difficult for me. And then Krishna replies, that's okay. In verse 9, he gives us next option. Follow the regulated devotional practices. These include living a disciplined life, avoid habits that pulls us away from purity, and slowly training the mind to remember Krishna. Still, someone may say, Krishna, even this feels very difficult at my stage. Again, Krishna says, no problem. In verse 10, he gives another option. Work for me. This is very practical. Krishna doesn't say stop your work and leave your family and run to the forest. Instead, he say, whatever work you're already doing, study, job, business, family duties, connect it to me. Offer a portion of your effort, time, or earnings in Krishna's service. This is called Karam Yoga, working with devotion. Then someone might say, Krishna, my situation is very difficult. I have no support, no interest, no strength. Krishna still doesn't reject them. In verse 11 and 12, he gently lowers the bar again. If you can't work directly for me, then renounce the fruit of your work. Don't live only for selfish enjoyment. If that's also difficult, then cultivate knowledge. If knowledge is difficult, try meditation. And then Krishna makes a very profound or powerful statement. Better than meditation is offering the results of one's work to God because it brings peace. So, what is Krishna teaching us here? Bhakti is not all or nothing. Spiritual life is progressive, not judgmental. Krishna meets us where we are and gently helps us move one step closer to Him. No rejection, no pressure, only guidance, compassion, and encouragement. And this is the beauty of Bhakti Yoga. Devotees' disposition. In this section, Krishna is glorifying transcendental qualities of his devotees. And at the end of every shloka, Krishna is saying that such a devotee is very, very dear to me. So let's skim through these qualities. The one who is equal to in both happiness and distress, one who is self-controlled, one who determined and never put anyone into difficulty or does not react when he's putting into difficulty. He's expert, he's pure and free from any pains. He never laments nor desires, renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things. The one who is always free from contamination. He is equipoised both in honor and dishonor, fame, infamy, and who is fixed in knowledge and engaged in devotional service. And at the end, shloka number 20, Krishna is saying, anyone or those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and engage themselves with faith, such people are very, very dear to me. In this way, Krishna ends the entire section of Bhakti Yoga, which started from chapter 7 onwards. Now, Krishna is going to take us through a very wonderful and informative section of Bhagavad Gita, which is Jnana Yoga, and how one can achieve bhakti through Jnana Yoga. Before we conclude chapter 12, let us pause for a short reflection. This chapter shows us something very beautiful about Krishna. Krishna is not demanding perfection from us. He is looking for sincerity. He understands that everyone is at a different stage. That is why he gives options, not to confuse us, but to encourage us. Krishna is telling us, start from where you are. Take one step and I will take 10. Bhakti is the bridge between our effort and, of course, Krishna's mercy. And when faith meets action, devotion naturally grows. And Krishna reassures us. Well, with this, we come to the end of chapter 12, Devotional Service. In just 20 verses, Krishna reveals the heart of bhakti and the kind of devotee he loves the most. Not the one who is famous, not the one who is perfect, but the one who is sincere, gentle, tolerant, and faithful. So from chapter 7 to 12, Krishna has taken us step by step from knowledge to surrender to love. Thank you for being part of this journey. And may these teachings stay with us, not just in our minds, but in our daily lives. That's it from me. Hare Krishna.